Hello, everybody. It is so good to be here with you. I'm so excited to be sharing with you the energy report for 2025. We've got a lot to cover, in a very, very important and pivotal year. So, as we get settled in, I want to just invite you. I don't know exactly how long I'm going to go. My I have 90 minutes set aside. It might take that long to get through everything, but I'm going to break down for you the energy report for the year 2025 through the lens of human design. So I'm going to start first by saying, I was just sharing with this with students in my class that I was teaching. I don't know hardly anything about astrology. I am not an astrologer. I mean, I know the planets. I kind of know the themes of the planets. I just recently learned what conjunction means. If you start throwing complicated terms like quincux around for me, I won't know what that means. So if you are an astrologer, or you love astrology, you are welcome to have astrology conversations in the chat. My intention is to give you this overview strictly through the lens of human design, although I'll hit a little bit of astrology, but not a lot. so, um, so I, so here's what I want to say. And this is not meant to sound as a cautionary note, because it's not. I actually think that we're in a really incredible time. We're in the middle of a 3-year very intense cycle. So this cycle actually started, I mean, we've been in a big intense cycle, but I would say the intensity of the cycle is really ramped up starting in 2024. So we had 2024, we've got 2025 ahead of us, and then 2026, this sort of, I'll call this a shoulder season, if you will, where we're standing on the brink, or maybe on a threshold between the old and the new. And when we're in these kinds of cycles, these are cycles that are disruptive. They are cycles that are really symptomatic, or maybe bring us the archetypal themes we need to be playing with that support us in evolving, in making the changes that we need to make to grow and evolve. And that means that we are, hold on. Hold on. I just moved stuff around on Zoom and I don't know where I put it. There we go. Okay. That means that we are in a cycle where it's going to feel like things are coming apart. And when things come apart, it's because it's creating room. So I like to use the analogy of a forest. When we look at the ecology of forests, we know that forests have seasons and cycles, and the seasons and the cycles in a forest can be disruptive, right? They can be fire, and fire in certain forest ecosystems are essential for burning away the dross so that nutrients are restored to the soil. And that those fires are so essential that the warmth of the fire, the heat of the fire, actually cracks open the pine cones so that the seeds for the next generation can be spread in this renewed soil, right? When we have disruptions in the forest ecosystem, a sequence of trees will die, leaving open places, meadows, and then we go through a season of succession where new species will move in and new growth happens. We're really in those a cycle that's very similar to a disruptive cycle in forest growth. And if we go to the edges of those cleared areas where maybe there's been a fire, or maybe there's been a pine bark beetle infestation, that at the edges where we have the old growth, remnants of the old growth, and the beginnings of the new growth, those edges are incredibly fertile. And I want us to really understand that very much so we are in this incredibly fertile time. And it's a fertile time that I believe, if you're on this call, it's a time that you are here to usher in. You are here to be a leader, a healer leader in this very important time. And when you are here, when you chose to be here, I think we all chose to be here at this very special time as we stand in this threshold, we are leading people into the new. As we lead people into the new, some things are happening, right? We've got disruption, things are falling apart. And And things are falling apart sometimes in very terrifying and cataclysmic ways. My heart goes out to all of you who may be dealing with some of the terrible disruption, the terrible fires in California, or those of you who've maybe endured floods and hurricanes in this past year, and of course war and trauma and all kinds of things happening all over the world. I just really want to start first by saying, our prayers are with you, our thoughts are with you, and of course eventually we're going to have to take some actions to do what we can do to prevent some of these cataclysmic events. And as we go through these cycles of disruption and things begin to change, there will be groups of people who don't want to go forward, right? This is why we have this surge of conservatism and orthodoxy happening all over the planet right now. It's not just in the United States. We have this energy of people wanting to go back to how things used to be. And when we go through cycles of disruption, you actually can't go back, right? You can't go back. You can't regrow the forest. It's gone. And you have to build anew. But there's grieving and there's letting go and there's resistance that happens and fear that happens during this time. And there are people on the other side that are wanting to try all these new things, and they're pushing and they're innovating and they're mutating, right? They're bringing in the new, and that's a beautiful, beautiful energy, but it's an energy that isn't always effective because we don't know what's going to work and what doesn't. So there's a lot of experimenting, right? A lot of alternative ideas that might or might not be working, but we have to do this experimentation to establish new patterns, new systems, and new ways of being. In this time, we have a couple of really important jobs. You all have a couple of, we all have these really important jobs. The first job is to become stability in the midst of uncertainty. And the way in which we do that, right? The way in which we do that is we have to reconnect with the heart of who we are, our true selves, our authentic selves, and stay connected to our internal decision-making energies, right? We have to stay connected to our intuition, our instincts. We have to have the courage to follow what our bodies are telling us is truth or not, right? In a time when there's so much information and so much upheaval and so much shifting, we don't always know if we're just analyzing with our brains what's true and what isn't. We have to have an integrated approach to really finding truth and our truth, and really finding the courage to do what's right for us so that we can take our place of leadership. Our second job is to stabilize ourselves in the midst of the unknown, right? To stabilize ourselves when it looks like everything is coming apart around us, because we're leaders. And as we lead, people are looking to us they're looking to us because we have this deep place of personal alignment. And that place of personal alignment is a high frequency state. It's a state that actually allows us to have influence and to be able to take leadership so that we can become a resource for others, a resource that provides reassurance and a path and illuminates the way so that we can lead people through this uncertain time and give them what they need to be able to cross through that threshold into the new. And that means we have to do our own inner work. And it's hard sometimes, right? We have to take back the story we tell ourselves and the world about who we are and how we are. And that's our personal story. And it's also our collective story, because we are disentangling ourselves from old stories that don't work anymore. We are disentangling ourselves from stories that have kept us in a position of less than. We are disentangling ourselves from stories that have kept us mediocre and maybe have kept us from taking our true position of leadership in the world. And as we rewrite these stories and walk through this threshold into this new world, it's an incredibly fertile creative place. It's an incredibly powerful creative place. And for us to be able to step into that place and lead and reassure and facilitate growth, for us to manifest the vision that we've all been holding in our heart, that vision that we know is true. And that vision is independent of political alignment, it's independent of everything. It's a vision that says, we as a species are designed to love each other, to care for each other, to nurture each other, to take good care of each other, to make decisions that facilitate the long-term well-being of each other. That world of peace that we've all felt in our hearts, it's about to be here. But we have to be able to keep our eye on the prize, if you will. Keep our eye. I say this year, one of the themes is maintaining your attitude. And when I say maintaining your attitude, I'm not talking about be happy and peppy. I'm talking about attitude through the lens of being a pilot, right? You have to keep the plane level and flying towards the horizon so that you don't lose your balance in the air and you don't come crashing down. And so, yeah, it's a lot of heavy, interesting, powerful, transformative, creative energy. And we're right smack dab in the middle of it. And as we continue to move through this powerful time of transition, you are the skeleton key for the planet. You are the key that will unlock the doorways to the future. And the more aligned you are with who you are, the truth of who you are, and your own internal compass, the more you maintain your connection to love's voice inside of your heart and the voice of your authentic self inside of your body, the more you connect with that, the better it's going to be. And it certainly is a year that has the potential for great rewards if we work the energy from an aligned place. So without further ado, let's get started today. All right, cool. All right, oops, I'm going the wrong way. Okay, so here we are, 2025, the transits and themes of the year. So I am privileged to be here with all of you, and I feel so grateful to get to spend the next little bit of time with all of you. I want to take a moment and reintroduce or introduce myself if you've never met me before. My name is Dr. Karen Curry Parker. I am the founder and the creator of Quantum Human Design and the Quantum Alignment System. I've written multiple best-selling books. I'm the world's top-selling human design author. I have a PhD in integrative medicine. I have been an emotional freedom techniques practitioner. That's an energy psychology technique. I've been one of the world's first trained EFT practitioners since 2000. I have been a life coach, and I'm actually one of the world's first trained life coaches since 1998. I studied with and worked for Ra Uru Hu, the founder of Human Design, in my early human design career. I've been teaching human design since 1999. That's 25 years. That is so hard to understand and believe in my brain. I'm a Quantum University guest lecturer. I'm a TEDx presenter. I am the host of the Quantum Revolution podcast, and I am a faculty member at the Omega Institute, the Shift Network, and on Humanities team. And I'm excited to be here with you today. So when we look at the overview of the energy for the year, I'm going to give you some contemplations for the year. So I'm going to give you some questions to think about. Please feel free to take screenshots or anything else you need to do to keep up with the presentation. I will do my best to not move at a breakneck manifesting generator speed, but I also have a lot to give you. And don't worry if you miss a little detail here and there. I'll tell you at the end of our presentation how you can keep up with everything that we've talked about today so that you'll have some written content to look at. We are going to do an overview of the 4 annual Quantum Human Design quarters. I'm going to give you a mantra for the year. We're going to talk about how planetary transits influence your personal chart. And then we're going to look at the 2025 global themes. What's up on the planet this year? So here are our questions for the year. So if you are wanting to know what should I be focusing on, or what should I be contemplating, and if I'm going to use the energy of the year as a source of my own growth and evolution, here's some things I'm going to encourage you to contemplate for 2025. How do I maintain rhythm and consistency so that I strengthen my ability to hold higher frequencies of energy? This is a practice, right? This is a practice, and we have to practice in order to strengthen this capacity. The second question for this year is, what practices do I need to cultivate to sustain my vision for what I want for a better year? I'm going to be gentle and maybe a wee bit firm with all of us, myself included. Holding a vision takes practice. And that means we have to be doing the work every day. It's one thing to know what to do, right? When we study and learn and we grow spiritually, we have these things we know we should be doing, right? We know we should be maybe visualizing or maintaining and sustaining our energy and building capacity, but knowing it and actually embodying it sometimes are two different things. And I want to gently encourage all of you this year to really make a practice of having a practice and practice having a practice, right? Third one is, who do I need to become to follow my intuition, inspirations, and my deep inner knowing about what the world needs? We are born storytellers. You are a storyteller. And the best story you tell in your life every single day is the story of who you are and how you are. Sometimes the stories we tell about ourselves are not stories that are big enough to allow us to do what we dream of doing. And so sometimes if we want to create something bigger, we have to start first by telling a better story about who we are. That to me is the greatest gift that human design gives us. It gives us this powerful, systematic way to explore our old story. And quantum human design gives us a really powerful way to rewrite that story in a more expanded, optimized version. And last but not least, how do I not let the disruption of the old paradigms, things coming apart, discourage me? In other words, how do you maintain your attitude during this time of transformation? So this year's mantra, every year I give us a mantra. This is not really a mantra because you could not possibly repeat this in meditation over and over again. So we'll think of this more as a manifesto this year. The manifesto for 2025 is this: I am a holographic representation of the divine. All of creation resides within me. My creativity extends beyond what my mind can imagine. I use my imagination in robust and unlimited ways in order to prepare the way for me to receive all that I need and desire. I allow myself to receive in order to expand upon what I have so that I have enough. I fully embody and manifest my enoughness. My expansion gives me more to share. The more that I share, the more that I am in the flow of synchronicity and magic. I was born for this time. I am a way shower. The more I activate my quantum creative potential, the more I expand portals of opportunity and expansion for others. I am a bringer of change and a creative whose wisdom and alignment helps shift the world. The more I activate my quantum creative potential, the more I activate the same potential in those around me, creating a critical mass that will continue to shift the planet towards equitability, justice, peace, sustainability, and abundance for all the planet and the cosmos. So that's our job for this year. That's our manifesto for 2025. I hope you enjoyed that. The next thing we're going to be talking about is the 4 quantum human design quarters. So every human design year is split into 4 quarters. Each one of those quarters represents a creative job, if you will, or a creative season in the entire year. So if you think of a year, when we start writing and talking about what are we doing this year, the entire year, and the human design year, by the way, doesn't start until January the 22nd. So we still have time to get it together. Okay. You still have time. Every year represents an entire creative cycle. And that creative cycle is broken up into 4 quarters. And each one of those quarters gives us a job or a task. It lets us know where we're at in the creative process or the creative seasons of the year. Now, I like to think of the quarters through the lens of gardening. And remember, I live in I live in southern Wisconsin in the United States. That means I'm in the northern hemisphere. So my gardening seasons might be a little bit different from those of you who are in Australia and New Zealand or South America or Africa. But the metaphor stays the same, even if your geographical weather patterns are different or seasons are different. So some of you may be familiar with the human design mandala. So if we put the human design chart and all the 64 gates within an astrological wheel, you will see that it kind of looks like this. This is the full mandala. The full mandala sort of gives us a good overview of the gates and what astrology signs they're associated with and the seasons of the year they're associated with. So the human design year starts on the gate 41, which if you look at it, is in the season of Aquarius. So if you find Aquarius on the top left-hand side, if you look down and you'll see the gate 41. So when the sun transits the gate 41, we move into the beginning of the new human design new year. And over the course of the year, the sun travels all the way around this mandala until it comes back to the gate 41. So the sun goes through all the 64 gates in the human design system. So let's talk about what is that journey. So the first quarter of the year, which I love this, I hope you love this, doesn't actually start until after the new year begins. So the first quarter of the year actually starts on February the 2nd, and it goes until April the 28th. So in February the 2nd, we begin the first creative quarter of the year. Now, I like to think about it this way, and there's a component of Judaism in the human design chart. Remember that human design is a synthesis of Eastern and Western astrology, the Chinese I Ching, the Hindu chakra system, Judaic Kabbalah, and a wee bit of quantum physics mixed in. In Judaism, the day actually begins when the sun sets of the calendar day before. So day actually begins at nightfall. So there's darkness at the beginning of the day. And in the human design year, there's darkness, if you will, before the start of the actual first quarter of the year. So we begin the new year on January the 22nd. The first quarter doesn't actually start until February the 2nd. And I like to think of the first quarter as being the season where, as a gardener in Wisconsin, means I'm going downstairs into my basement and I'm getting tons of little peat pots and little jars and cups and things that I've been collecting all year. And I'm starting my garden in my I have don't read this the wrong way, but I have a grow room downstairs and I have, lights, and in my basement, I turn on the grow lights in my little fake greenhouse in the basement. I don't put anything outside because it's freezing cold here, usually until May, June, right? I'm starting my seedlings during this time, right? So, and even if I'm not starting my seedlings, I'm getting organized to start my garden. I'm ordering seeds out of the catalog. I'm thinking about, once the seedlings start to take root and grow, where am I going to put them in my garden? This year I have a huge adventure because my husband basically leveled my entire yard and it has no plants in it at all. So once the season warms up enough, I have a lot of planting to do this year. So metaphorically, when we're looking at this through the creative cycle, this first cycle is about really getting clear about what are you going to do, right? Where are you going to grow? What are you going to start this year? What are your intentions for this year? So we have a lot of time to get ready. And right now, when the new year starts with the sun moving into the gate 41, when the new year starts into this gate 41, we have the job, if you will, of being in the stillness, being in the darkness, and really getting clear about, what are we creating this year? What seeds are we going to be planting? And those are obviously literal seeds in my world, metaphorical seeds also in our world. What are we going to be working on and focusing on this year? And that's our job for this first quarter, right? It's our job as we move from February 2nd until Taurus season, April 28, right? Ish, Taurus, yeah. So in this first quarter, we're looking at it. If you look over in the mandala, you'll see the gates of this season colored in. And if you notice, if you really look, the gates of this season, the gates that the sun travels through in this season, are mostly emotional and in the will center. So we are really cultivating the energetic alignment, right? We are getting emotionally prepared in our creative cycle for whatever it is that we're going to be building next, right? In the second quarter, which starts May the 3rd, wait, the dates are a little bit off on this. I may have to go back and redo double check these dates. But on May the 3rd is when the second quarter starts, right? On May the 3rd, we go into the second creative quarter. I like to call this the quarter of the template. If you look at the throat center, you'll see that the throat center, all the gates in this quarter are mostly on the throat center. This is the quarter of the tending of the garden. Okay, this is the time of year for gardening. We're getting the beds ready. If it's warm enough, I'm pulling the plants out of the basement and putting them in the sunroom, right? We're taking the hay off the tops of the raised beds. We're tilling the soil maybe. Everything's been trimmed back. We're like ready to go and put those seeds in the ground and start really nurturing and loving on those seeds, right? We're not watching them every single minute, right? Because then they don't grow. That's a rule. If you watch the plant, it doesn't grow. But we're making sure that those baby plants, those seeds and those seedlings have everything they need to take root, to really get established in the garden, and to really have a firm foundation. And so part of what we're doing in this quarter, in the second quarter of the year, is we're talking, we're communicating, we're gathering to us the people we need to fulfill our creative process. We're sharing our dreams, our visions with each other. We are collaborating. We're talking about what we're envisioning. We're telling stories of new possibilities. We're in community with each other as we enter into this second quarter. So this is definitely a quarter where you're going to want to reach out and tap into people who might benefit you in the fulfillment of your vision and your dream, people who are really going to help you. You're going to be talking to your friends about your vision, about what you want. You're not hiding in the basement with, the seeds anymore. Now you're actually putting it out there into the world, and you're sharing with the world what it is that you're building. In the third quarter, which starts on August the 5th, in the third quarter of the year, we enter the quarter of manifestation. I like to think of this as the quarter of the harvest, right? Now we've done the work. We've set the plant into the ground. We've tended to the garden. We've been watering it every day. We've got the soaker hoses out. We've scared away all the birds so they don't eat the berries, right? We've done what we need to do, or maybe we've given the birds a little bit, but not too much, right? We've gotten rid of the pests. We're ready to start harvesting. It's zucchini season, right? Zucchinis are abundant where I live. And so by the end of this season, we're not only creating zucchinis for ourselves, we're secretly giving zucchinis to other people, right? So it's the time of the year when people don't really like zucchini anymore because they're done with zucchini. We're harvesting. So this is the time of the year in our creative process where we're really beginning to reap the rewards of what we've been building, right? We're activating right timing. And if you look at this quarter, you'll see that the gates of this quarter are primarily on the spleen center, right? Which is all about right timing. And I want you to notice that as we're gathering and harvesting, right? Then we are also up at the head center with that 6447. We're also getting new ideas. We're starting already to look to the next year, right? We're getting new ideas. We are thinking about and dreaming about and assessing, hey, how did this harvest work? This variation of zucchini is particularly prolific. Maybe we won't plant this one next year, right? Right? So we really are starting to think about what worked, what didn't. But mostly we're doing the work of cultivating what we've done. Last but not least, the fourth quarter is the quarter of recalibration. And notice down here, we also have the energy for time and timing, but this time in the root center, which is a gate of the energy. If you look, most of the gates at this season are around the root center, a little bit of the sacral, right? That root center energy is about preparing for right timing. It's about influencing timing, right? We don't have right timing if we're not ready, right? If you are trying to create something, but you haven't gotten ready for it, right? Then you can't influence time and timing. In fact, you'll block yourself. You'll get yourself gummed up And if we get ourselves gummed up because we haven't set the stage, then we're not ready. We won't be ready for 2026. So this fourth quarter is kind of like the evening before the day, right? So we go into this involution cycle in this fourth quarter, where now we're really taking note of what worked this season, what didn't work this season, what do we want to do more of next season. And I like to call this season, it's my favorite season, the season of the seed catalog, right? We're dreaming in this season. I don't know, these seed catalogs come to my house. I get 1,000 of them at this point in my life. And my favorite thing to do in January is to just spend most of Saturday morning dreaming out of the seed catalogs, especially when those ones that come with like the heritage seeds. Wow, those are my fave. And usually I'm ordering more seeds than I'll ever be able to plant. I have my own personal seed bank at this point, things I didn't plant because I ran out of room. Right. So this is a season when we're contemplating what seeds are we going to sow in the next cycle. So just be aware. Yes, this should say February 2, 2026, not 2025, right? So November 5 of 2025 to February 2, 2026. So thank you for catching that, you all. So these are the quarter, this is the final quarter of the year where we're in this cycle of involution. This is actually where we are right now in 2025. We're in the end of the fourth quarter, moving towards the first quarter. And where we are right now is still sort of down in the root center, really looking at what roots do we need to lay down to set the stage for right timing, right? What do we need to do to be ready, to get ready for the next new creative cycle? And certainly as we begin this exploration of the new year, that is the work I want you to focus on for the month of January. What do you need to do to get ready for the next year? And that means taking stock of what worked before, right? Looking at what do you want to build next? Getting clear, dreaming, exploring, contemplating, making a vision board or a dream board, and really taking this time as a contemplative inward time rather than an external pushing time. And don't let the pressure, which is the shadow of the root center, which is kind of in play right now, don't let the pressure, feeling like you got to be doing something, stop you from getting aligned first before you take action. So it's interesting to note that each quarter starts with the energy for direction. It always starts on for those of you who are familiar with more in-depth human design, the first quarter, all the quarters start on the incarnation cross of the Sphinx. We have cycles of experimentation built into every quarter. We have cycles of realignment and tweaking in every quarter. In the middle of every creative quarter, we have the incarnation cross of the vessel of love. So we have the opportunity in the middle of every quarter to recalibrate ourselves to make sure we're taking a direction that's rooted in love. Then we do some more experimenting, some more realigning, and then we start off with a new direction for the new quarter. So we're always in a creative cycle, and there are, of course, creative cycles within creative cycles when we look at astrology and human design, or life even, and just in general has seasons within seasons. So I like to start, before we look too deeply into the transits, I like to start with the idea that we're always in collaboration and co-creation with the quantum field, right? We can either align with this quantum field or resist, right? That's where we have choice. You can choose to align or choose to resist. And this year, both alignment and resistance create instant results. I will say that as we enter into this new era that we're walking into, it feels like things show up faster. It feels like time is speeding up. And that means you're going to get faster results in your outer world, whether you're resisting. And of course, the faster result you'll get is more feeling stuck, right? Or more mediocrity or more settling. Or if you are in alignment, faster results, which means this creative process can be accelerated by aligning. And when I say aligning, I'm meaning telling a story, having a set of meanings about yourself and the world, having a set of expectations about yourself and the world, And then making sure that your internal story is in harmony with those expectations, those intentions, those desires, so that you can get those instant results. If you're out of alignment, let's say, for example, you're saying, I'm going to make $7 billion this year, and that's your intention for the year. And your belief system about yourself is, I don't deserve that. That's impossible. That could never happen for me. Money is evil. Money can corrupt and create corrupt power. Those are your stories, but you're trying to manifest the $7 billion, you're going to gum yourself up pretty fast. So it really is important to take a careful stock, really observe carefully your outer world, because you're living in a feedback loop. And the feedback loop this year is going to be very rich in revealing to you where perhaps you need to create a better set of meanings and a better story about who you are, how you are, and most importantly, what you deserve. And if you have forgotten, I want to gently and lovingly remind you, you deserve everything. You deserve to have everything you need to fulfill the story of who you are. And I want to encourage you this year to really work on making sure there's alignment around that story, right? That you absolutely are standing in that belief that you are fully supported and that your most important job in this year is to be the person you were born to be, because that will create the fastest amount of results. Some of the other things we're doing this year is we are learning to reduce our reactivity and becoming more deliberate. In other words, we're learning to leverage faith over fear. We're learning to decrease our propensity for extremes. We are strengthening our faith and our ability to navigate cycles of disruption with faith, clarity, and peace. And we're learning to use alignment versus willpower, because when we are aligned, things sync up. Things create with greater ease. And we're not burning ourselves out, pushing against ourselves, and exerting effort that isn't necessary when we sit back and allow serendipity, synchronicity, and we'll call it the magic of the universe to support us from that deeply aligned place. All right, let's talk about understanding the transits in your chart. I do want you to be able to look at the transits for yourself. We are looking at some of the major big transits. We're looking at the movement of the sun and the earth. We're looking at cycles like Mercury retrograde, and we're looking at Mercury retrograde. We're looking at eclipses. We're looking at the outer planets. We're looking at some of the big transits. I want you to also be able to look at how the transits impact your personal chart, because they do. So this is just a very short mini lesson in how the transits affect your personal chart. And of course, the more you learn about your human design and your human design chart, the more you, and human design in general, or quantum human design in general, the more you'll learn how the transits might be impacting your personal chart. So when you look at your quantum human design chart, there are two really important terms that I want you to understand. The first term that I want you to understand is definition. Your definition in your chart is anything in your chart that's colored in. So anything that's in your chart that's already colored in, that's called definition. Those are energies that you have consistent access to. Those are energies, in the way that I teach it, those are energies that are really about your soul curriculum. These are core archetypal themes that you're going to be playing with and exploring and learning about and evolving in your life from birth to death. If you think of this through the lens of the transits, if you think of the chart as being kind of a puzzle, you already have these puzzle pieces filled in your chart. So if something is transiting and you already have it defined in your chart, that doesn't mean it won't impact you, but the way that it's going to impact you the most is it's going to be impacting you in such a way that you're going to feel like people are reflecting back to you or talking about or being in sync with your own story. And maybe even they'll be reflecting back to you some of the shadow elements of your own story that will help you learn and grow. Anything that's white in the chart is called open or undefined. When something is open or undefined, that's like an opening in your puzzle. And in those openings, as the planets move and highlight different parts of the chart, you're going to experience that energy in a particularly intense way. Now, I want to be really clear. When something transits in your chart, it doesn't change your natal chart. Okay, your natal chart won't change. I hear people say all the time, oh my God, in May, I'm going to be a manifesting generator for 3 weeks. Nope, you'll always be your type. You'll always have your natal chart. Your energy will always work just like it does in your natal chart. But you will experience the flavor of that energy in your chart. So if you have, let's say, an open sacral center, say if you're a manifester, projector, or reflector, or an initiator, orchestrator, or calibrator in quantum human design, if you get a transit that will bring definition to those centers in your chart, and you don't normally have those defined, you might find that you have an extra surge of energy that you don't normally have, right? So at the end of May, there really is a transit at the end of May where everybody on the planet is experiencing the energy of being a manifesting generator. If you're not normally a manifesting generator, if you don't normally have a sacral center defined, you're still going to be experiencing that surge of energy, even though you'll still be creating true to your human design type. So if you want to look at the transits and try to see, like, why am I feeling so emotional today? That's not normally how I am. If you look at your chart and you look at the transits, then you can start to see how those transits might be impacting your natal chart and giving you a certain energetic experience. So transits bring personal themes if you have an energy open in your chart, and global themes in general. So we don't just experience them personally, the whole world is experiencing them. And oftentimes it illuminates some core archetypal themes we need to be dealing with in our collective story. So here's a couple of different ways where you can understand the personal themes and where you can find the transits. So you do have the ability, using some of the software that's out there, to find the transitory energy for the day. So if you've purchased the Bodygraph chart software, go to bodygraphchart.com. You can generate a chart in the menu and then add a person or select a current chart, select human design and transit in the top right drop-down menus. Take a screenshot of this page so that if you have the Bodygraph software, you can figure out how to do this. If you've not purchased the Bodygraph chart software, go to this webpage. We'll put it in the chat for you, quantumhumandesign.com/human design transit. So you can go to my webpage and you can find the transits there. And you will see on that page a just now transit chart displayed on the page. So that's your way of looking in and checking in on the transits. You can also enter your birthday and get a chart that shows your chart plus the transit. So you can even see the software on that page will actually calculate a transit chart with your chart for it. So if you look at this page, you'll see on the left-hand side, here's a chart, a natal chart. On the right-hand side, you'll see the transits, right? You'll see a transit chart. And those transits will tell you these are the gates that are being highlighted by the planets. So we'll put the link again in the chat for you all, so you can see. So in this particular case, you see on the right-hand side that there's a lot of energies on the transit chart that would influence this natal chart. So in this natal chart, you would, if you look at the transit chart, you'll see the transit chart has a defined defined ajna, and it has a defined ajna through the channel 1156. So if your chart was on the left, and this was the day, this was the actual transits for the day, and it's not, this is earlier this year, you would know that today I have a lot of ideas. I have a lot of ability to share my thoughts with others because my ajna is getting definition to the throat. I'm not going to go too deep into this because this is really a course in and of itself. But if you go to the quantumhumandesign.com transit page that we just posted, Hannah just posted that in the chat. There's actually an article posted there too that can help you understand the transits. So just go in there, and if you want to learn a little bit more, go to that transit page. There's a whole little curriculum in there for you to learn about the transits and your planets and what the planets mean and how to interpret the transits. So just a quick aside. So basically the transits are kind of like being in a relationship. If you were doing a relationship reading, it would be very similar. You would be blending the transit chart with your natal chart. The most important thing that I want you to understand about the transits is go into the transits and look and see, does it bring any definition to your centers? There's a lot to know about human design, and I'm not trying to say I'm not trying to say that you can't and you don't, you won't be able to figure it out. You absolutely can and you will. But if you want a quick weekly way to update yourself on the transits, every Monday on my YouTube channel, we do post a weekly overview of the energy forecast for the week. On Tuesdays, in our Quantum Human Design Facebook group, I do a live Transit Tuesday call where we actually have a long conversation about the energy forecast for the week. Yesterday, or this week, not yesterday, but Tuesday this week, I did a whole big thing on how do we influence time. There's a lot of great content in there. So use those resources so that you don't have to sit there and spend years and years studying human design to figure out what the transits are telling you. Most importantly, you really want to check and see, is it bringing you energy that you don't normally have? Because it certainly will help you understand what's going on and why are all the people around me acting this way, right? So, all right. So again, you can see if we put these two charts together, in the middle here, we have what's called a composite chart. It's a little blurry. It's not you if you're looking at it. There's a composite chart. So you would put these two together. So you would see like this person on the left during this transitory cycle has a defined ajna, and you would see some of the energies at play. You'd see there's a lot of emotional energy happening, right, during this season. And during this particular day, there's a lot of emotional energy happening. There's a lot of sensitivity happening. So it helps you really understand what the transits are telling and how they might be influencing your energy. All right. I'm going to break down for you now, when you're looking at the transits, how the different planets impact you and how what those different planets are going to tell you thematically about what those planets are going to tell you thematically about the energy at play. So whatever is being highlighted by the sun, and the sun moves, by the way, through all of the 64 hexagrams over the course of the year. So it goes through the whole human design, all the gates in the human design chart. And the sun moves about every 6 days. So about every 6 days, the sun is moving through different core themes. The sun tells us what we're expressing and what we're giving in the world. So the sun is actually a really important theme to look at in the human design transits. So you want to pay attention to the sun because that's telling us what everybody's going to be talking about, what they're putting out into the world, what you're here to give, and what is the big theme, the overarching theme. So we know, for example, on January 22nd, the sun highlights the gate 41, the gate of imagination. It's a very powerful, very creative 6 days where we're all thinking about what else is possible. Whatever the earth is highlighting for the week tells us what do we need to do, what do we need to be paying attention to in order to stay stable and grounded during this 6-day cycle, right? So this week, the earth is grounding us in the gate 53, right? So this week we get grounded when we start thinking about new possibilities, new ideas, and maybe when we take care of some of those things we've been procrastinating, that it actually clears up our energy and allows us to do more, right? To do more so that we can stay active in expressing our sun. So this is a good week to take care of unfinished business, to do those things maybe you've been procrastinating. Isn't it hilarious when we procrastinate and we actually go do the thing? Like the thing takes 2 minutes and we spend like 5 weeks dreading it. And if we just did the thing, we'd be good, right? Whatever the moon is highlighting, and the moon moves pretty fast, right? The moon goes through all 64 gates in about 28 to 29 days. The moon is what's driving us at the moment. If you are a reflector, especially, you want to really pay attention to where is the moon moving. The north node, so the nodes move in themes. We're going to go through the themes of the nodes for 2025 in just a minute. The north node is kind of, I like to think of the nodes as being the plot outline in the story we're living in right now. So our north node is sort of what we're growing towards. what we're moving towards. And the south node is kind of where we're starting off in the story. So the south node and the north node give us a little bit of a hint as to the hero's journey that we're in. And it usually illuminates a cycle within a cycle. So our nodal themes last a couple of months usually. So we have these sort of mini cycles that are telling us, what are we focusing on? What are we growing? Where are we starting out? And where do we need to grow towards, right? I said the word procrastination and it started a whole conversation in chat, right? So Mercury, whatever Mercury is highlighting is what we're communicating about and what we're sharing with each other. Venus highlights our values and what we value. And also Venus highlights love and relationships. So sometimes Venus illuminates relationship themes for the cycle that it's in. Mars brings us lessons that help us mature and grow. So oftentimes what's in Mars is kind of reactive, can be kind of reactive sometimes. It's part of our lesson. It's always interesting. This is just if you want to do a little bit more of a complex analysis, it's always interesting to look at Mars, Saturn, and Pluto, because those three planets are kind of challenging planets, and they give us a very interesting overview of where do we really need to be focusing our attention and energy on, and what lessons do we really need to be working on mastering right now. Jupiter illuminates where our blessings are coming from, where our rewards are coming from. And if we feel blocked in Jupiter, it usually means that we need to focus on what Saturn is highlighting, right? Saturn is highlighting a theme, a lesson. Saturn is always highlighting a lesson for us, just like Mars, but a bigger lesson. And whatever lesson Saturn is bringing us, if we master that lesson, then we get to reap the rewards of Jupiter. If we don't master this lesson, then we get hung up. And sometimes that Jupiter blessing feels blocked. We're moving now to the slower moving planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. These are slower moving planets, and they oftentimes give us really long-term collective themes. These are the planets that really hold the themes for the longer-term evolution in the human story. So Uranus is our faith teacher. It highlights a little bit where we're different or where we need to grow. It oftentimes brings us unexpected shifts and turns and twists in the plot outline that are essential to helping us let go and release so that we can create more room for growth. Neptune is our spiritual theme. It's oftentimes feels murky and a little bit veiled, like we can't quite see what it is. It oftentimes highlights our spiritual connection, our spiritual job, and our spiritual purpose. So whatever Neptune highlights is teaching us a lot about what do we need to do to stay in greater alignment with our spiritual potential and our spiritual purpose. Pluto sometimes has two different symbols. You'll see it in two different ways. Pluto, which lost its planetary status but had it restored recently, so it's back to being a planet again. People got really upset about that. Pluto is now officially a planet again. Pluto is a place where we see expansion, generational challenges. It's where we grow, evolve, and transform through cycles of death and renewal. So Pluto brings us cycles of death and renewal that are also essential to the growth process. So, and then last but not least, the Chiron is our wounded healer. It's part of our life and spiritual purpose or spiritual challenge. And oftentimes I like to think of Chiron as being the burr under your saddle. Like it's that thing that keeps bugging you again and again and again. And it's a thing that forces you to have to like take off the saddle and figure out why is the horse all upset? Because if you don't get rid of the burr, the horse is going to keep bucking, right? So you've got to figure out what is that burr under the saddle, and how do you really work with that so that you can really make sure your ride is smooth and safe. So in this next section, I'm going to go through, all right. In this next section, I'm going to go through bigger planetary cycles and how they play out during the year. This is a lot of information. And I want you to be aware that I'm giving you broad, big overview of the year. If you're like, I need all this information, I need to work with this information all year long, I do want to let you know that I have published a hard copy. This is actually a planner for 2025 called the 2025 Evolution Guide. And all the information that we are covering today is in the 2025 Human Design Evolution Guide. So that information is out there for you to work with. The guide itself has contemplations and journaling exercises and other things that you can work with to maximize the information that's in this presentation and to maximize how you work with the transits for the year. So we have a couple of Mercury retrograde cycles this year. The first one goes from March 15th to April the 7th, and it transits through the gate 21, the gate 17, the gate 36, and the gate 25. So this first cycle of Mercury is teaching us how to master ourselves and structure our lives in a way that we create an internal and external environment that is self-generous. So we're really being invited to make sure that we've got good habits that sustain ourselves internally and externally so that we can prepare to make new changes and shifts in our habits so we can be strengthened and live in integrity and from our own value. So we're releasing old patterns rooted in trauma. Remember when we go through retrograde cycles, the planet doesn't actually go backwards. It just kind of looks like it is. It's really a time of contemplation, and really it gives us kind of a cosmic redo. So when we go through retrograde cycles, it gives us an opportunity to really think, renew, refresh, recharge, realign so we can go forward with greater intention and greater power. So this first Mercury retrograde cycle is teaching us to release old patterns that are rooted in trauma that might be keeping us worried and stuck. We're learning to trust the process, which, by the way, is a theme that you're going to see played out over and over and over and over and over and over again this year. We are learning to trust the process. So don't let the external circumstances, distract you from the inner alignment. Our challenge is to learn to let go. During this cycle, we're learning to not let fear and worry muddy the process of calling in miracles and new pattern disrupting cycles. We're learning to deepen our faith and to remember that if you can see it in your mind's eye, it's already on its way here. Our second Mercury retrograde cycle goes from July the 18th to August the 11th, highlighting the gate 7, the gate 33, and the gate 31. We are learning to rewrite our narrative around power and empowerment. This process involves exploring past experiences that may have left you feeling disempowered. Your job is to reclaim your power from these limiting narratives and to not let the stories in the past keep you playing small or thinking you deserve less. Our challenge during this cycle is to reclaim your personal story, to use your personal alignment with your new empowered narrative as an influential source of power. On November the 9th through the 30th, we have our third Mercury retrograde cycle. I'm telling you this so you don't buy computers during these cycles, right? And we have Mercury going retrograde through the gate 9, the gate 34, the gate 14, and the gate 43. So this is a Mercury retrograde cycle that is inviting us to take time to reconnect with our dreams, right? And at this point in time, we're just now getting into that fourth quarter, right? Where we're revisiting what worked, what didn't. So we're dreaming again. To stay focused on what you want so you can recognize and align with opportunities when they show up. To not let outer circumstances distract you from what's important. To learn the power of focus so you don't push to exhaustion and waste your energy on ineffective responses. And our challenge here is to learn to tune out the fear and naysaying of others, to trust in our own inner knowing and inner timing, to pay attention and stay alert for the next right step, and to keep yourself internally focused so that the external circumstances don't distract you. So you may want to take a screenshot of this, or again, these are all outlined in the 2025 Evolution Guide. You'll see that the nodes transit through the gate 46, the 6, the 47, the 64, and the 40. That's the south node. That's where we're starting. The north node pushes us towards spirit, exploration, surrender, curiosity, and peace. And really what the nodes are teaching us all year long is this. They're asking us to explore the question, How do I maintain and sustain my connection to source? How do I touch base and stay aligned with my purpose? And hey, I said this already, right? Trust the process. Dun, dun, dun. So we are really digging deep this year. The plot outline for the story for the whole year is really about practice. We talked about this at the beginning, right? Cultivating practices that keep you connected to source and practices that keep you connected with your purpose and trusting the process. Don't let the day-to-day changes derail you from the bigger plot line ahead. So the bottom line is the nodes are laying out a soul curriculum of helping us learn to trust the wisdom of our heart. There's a lot of energy going through the heart center. To draw our energy from the spark that is ignited by our alignment versus harnessing our willpower, and to continue improving by cultivating a consistent practice that supports strengthening our creative skills and reminding us that faith is the path forward, even if it looks like everyone and everything is falling apart. We're also learning to manage our response to fear, to stay out of reactivity. And I said this at the beginning, right? That's a big theme for the year. Stay in faith, stay out of reactivity, and stay out of the old patterns that we might have cultivated to keep ourselves safe so that we can move forward with faith and confidence. The nodes are instructing us to dig deep, find the courage to move forward, because the call of our purpose and what we're running towards is stronger than the call to run away because of our fear. That's the big overarching narrative for the year and what we're going to be growing through all year long. If we look at Jupiter and Saturn, remember I said there's a relationship between Saturn and Jupiter, that Saturn brings us big, important lessons that we have to master. Sometimes Saturn brings us things that we have to release and let go. I like to think of Saturn as kind of being like the Tower card in the tarot deck, or Saturn is sort of like, if you go back to old alchemical formulas, Saturn is the fire that burned away the dross in the alchemical process. So Saturn ignites and agitates things, but the things that get agitated and ignited by Saturn are things that we have to either contend with, evolve through, or move out of the way so that we can receive the blessings of Jupiter. So when we look at Saturn and Jupiter this year, one important thing that I want you to pay attention to is look at the lessons and blessings that Saturn and Jupiter bring us. Saturn is also this year, by the way, closely aligned with Neptune, bringing us a similar lesson through the lens of Saturn, which is, of course, a taskmaster and a force that often removes obstacles out of our way so that we don't get distracted, right? So Saturn is forcing us this year to take a much closer look at our higher purpose. You've seen this theme already in the nodes, right? To really take a closer look at our higher purpose and make sure, this is huge, that we're not making excuses or letting distractions keep us from fulfilling the cosmic job we signed up for when we incarnated. So this same energy offers us healing and the ability to disentangle ourselves from old patterns. Saturn promises to shackle us in place, in other words, get stuck, until we do the work and we don't take no for an answer. If we resist, the only result is going to be burnout and a lot of wasted effort. So we really will be pushed into the fire this year and forced to have to use that fire as the fuel to forge a deeper connection with our higher purpose and to stay deeper in alignment with the faith and potential for our lives. Jupiter, of course, highlights where we're going to experience blessings and expansion if we do the work of Saturn. So this year, Jupiter grants us the blessings of having greater impact, influence, and reach, provided we're reaching out with our authentic selves and we're not hiding ourselves with a fake mask, right? If we hide or obfuscate the truth, the payback of Saturn promises to be harsh. We are not going to be able to lie to each other and to ourselves anymore this year. Once we hit June, Jupiter's theme shifts and we're going to be forced to focus on time and timing and the preparation necessary to be ready for the next phase in our evolution and growth. We cannot control time and timing, by the way. You can't control it. It's a big lesson this year. You can control time and timing, but you can influence it. And so Jupiter is encouraging us to take the time to sit in silence, to take a step back, and to keep focused on the big picture. we're also being reminded that time goes by faster if you have absolute faith. So doubt can gum up the wheels of time. And of course, we're also being reminded to finish up any unfinished business so that we have room to start new things once we're internally aligned, right? You have to do that internal alignment piece and make sure we've taken the steps necessary to prepare the way on the physical plane, meaning don't procrastinate. I'm going to say that word again, and do the thing, right? Build the website, write the book, do the things you've been holding yourself back from. Now really is the time. There's a lot of energy to support you if you actually follow through and do the thing. Now, Saturn is going to be in Pisces March 7th, 2023 to February 13, 2026, or has been in Pisces for a while. It's about to leave Pisces next year, moving into Saturn and Aquarius. We've had a couple of flavors of that along the way. Here's some things to think about. We are working with the theme with intoxication, addiction, intuition, compassion, dream work, empathy, imagination, poetry, mysticism, kindness, open-mindedness, artistry, adaptability, and the ability to pivot. So I definitely want you to think about this year, especially this year, somatic releasing of old stories, not just, and creative releasing of old stories. So this is a themes of like dancing, soft movement, dream quests, trusting your inner voice, cultivating creativity and imagination. Detox is a good word for this year. Wean yourself off of what doesn't support your sustainability and evolution. That's on a personal and collective level. Beware of delusion, religious fanaticism, reactivity due to blurred perceptions. And our keywords are faith, imagination, abundance, and enough. So we're really in the cusp with Saturn between these two energies. And really, it's a time where our ability to sense and know the truth and to live the truth and to detox every aspect of our lives is huge as a directive this year. All right, let's talk about Uranus. Dun, dun, dun. So Uranus starts out this year highlighting the gate 23, the gate of transmission. March, it moves to the gate 26. March 26, it moves to the gate 8, the gate of fulfillment. On July the 10th, it moves to the gate 20, the gate of patience. On November the 5th, it moves retrograde back to the gate 8, the gate of fulfillment. So Uranus is one of those big, slow-moving planets that brings us big, big themes, big generational themes, collective themes, important themes for us to pay attention to when we shift and change. I like to call Uranus the cosmic disruptor. It brings the energy of the unexpected. It loves to disrupt the status quo. It brings us unexpected shifts and changes that ultimately force us to grow. And this year, Uranus begins its transition from Taurus to Gemini, moving into Gemini on July the 7th, before it returns to one last movement through Taurus on November the 9th. So Uranus has been helping us dismantle old systems and breaking down circumstances and stories that are in need of rewriting and renegotiating. This dynamic planet in Taurus, where it's been, or it is, can be very uncomfortable and very disruptive, right? So it has definitely been a season of very uncomfortable and disruptive, intense energy. And the purpose of that energy is to break things down, break down old systems, break down circumstances and stories that don't fit, that don't support us anymore. Now, when Uranus moves into Gemini, it tends to be a little bit more comfortable, highlighting the energy of Gemini. This shift in Uranus signifies a movement away from the head and all the brainy things that we have to do and into a more creative energy. And so over the course of his journey through Gemini, Uranus highlights the gates of the throat center, helping us to create, share, educate, and transmit new information. So we're not taking things apart anymore when we hit Gemini. We're using language to build the energetic template of something new and something better that feeds that whole idea of we're dreaming new things into being. If you go back and you look at the creative quarters, right? This is the second creative quarter where we're talking, we're connecting, we're communicating, we're collaborating. This is the energy that Uranus is bringing us as it begins the shift, but we're not out of the woods yet. Uranus and Gemini has historically brought about the potential for war. So we use our words for good. We use our words to build. We have to be very mindful of using our words in the name of peace and justice and equitability and sustainability and all of those good pieces, right? So we're at a crossroads in our evolution when the old materialistic and imperialistic ideas are dying out, and we're embracing a deeper understanding of how borders and othering they actually defy, not define, but defy natural law. Okay, we're not supposed to be separate from each other. We're supposed to be unified. That's science, right? The quantum era initiates us into a deeper awareness that we are all unique expressions of a common field of energy. I want to read that again because to me that is so important, right? The quantum era initiates us into a deeper awareness that we are all unique expressions of a common field of energy. The challenges that face humanity will ultimately equalize us all as we begin to realize we live under the same sky and share the same planet. Neptune. So Neptune starts us off in the gate 36, the gate of exploration. This is the gate where miracles happen. We have been in a cycle of breaking free from old patterns. This is another theme you've probably heard me say a lot today. Breaking free from old patterns. We've been disrupting old patterns through this gate 36 and exploring other options. On February the 10th, Neptune moves into the gate 25. This planetary curriculum from Neptune gives us a gentle reminder, dun, 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 you've heard this before too, hold a vision and sustain it with an aligned frequency of emotional energy, and then wait to bring that vision into form only when the timing is right. No pushing, no willpower, aligning, and then acting. We're learning to stretch the boundaries and limits of the human story. And this gate is a place where patterns are shattered by creating and ultimately exploring something different and new. We're breaking free from a predictable future that we've outgrown, and we're moving forward with gusto in a way that aligns us with our full human spiritual potential. And this energy it's kind of similar to last year, but this year we have more traction, more potential for action and momentum. So really want to just encourage you, if you felt like things aren't moving fast enough, I think we're going to gain a little bit more momentum and traction this year with this energy. The challenge here is not to move forward without right timing and alignment. You've heard me say that like 12 times now today. This is emotional energy, and it's often hard to see and trust what's being shattered. Without awareness, this gate can bring chaos, but chaos is often the precursor to things being reorganized. On the 10th of February, when Neptune moves to the gate 25, the gate of spirit, we're invited to trust the process. Haha, right? And to continue to commit to our higher purpose and a higher vision. When things seem confusing or hard to understand, Neptune promises clarity when we let go and connect with source. That's the real message with this Neptune highlighting the 25. We are part of a bigger picture unfolding. Even if it feels chaotic in the moment, we are realigning towards something that better represents the fulfillment of the new human story. Pluto goes through the gate 60, the gate 41, almost conjunct the sun. The gate 60 again as it retrogrades, and the gate 41. So we've been doing this teeter thing with Pluto a little bit. It's going to keep going this year. Really what Pluto is telling us is we're on the cusp of a creative revolution. But to get there, we have to let go of the old ways and find what is working and build upon it. I like to think we're entering into the age of inspiration. And that's really the theme that Pluto is highlighting for us. But Pluto also highlights conservatism. When Pluto moves into the 60 energy, it inflames the fear of people it inflames fear in people who are unwilling to move forward. And so again, as we sort of teeter between the 60 and the 41 all year, I want to just stress that you're probably going to continue to see more conservatism, more, I don't know, more uprisings from people who don't want to go back, people who want to go back to how things used to be. Here's the thing, you can't go back. We can't go back. You can't unknow what you know. You can't de-evolve. You can't. It doesn't work that way. And so think of it as the dying gasp of an old world. And really the task here is not to convince people, hey, it's going to be okay, not to try to be right in the face of resistant energies, but rather to just quietly build what we want to be building and slowly but surely show people, hey, look, here's a different way, and it's better, and it's more equitable, and it's just, and you don't have anything to be afraid of. It's okay. We're going to be okay. Chiron this year goes through the gate 51, the gate 42, the gate 3, and the gate 42 again as it retrogrades. Really what Chiron is telling us, Chiron is again that burr under the saddle. We're completing a cycle. We're standing on the cusp of innovation, a creative revolution. But we can't get there if we don't make room for the new. So definitely, again, this theme is about taking things apart and putting them all back together. The eclipse season, we're finishing up the Aries Libra axis on March 29, moving to the Virgo Pisces, or, kind of in it, Virgo Pisces on September the 7th. Yeah. Aries and Libra axis, this eclipse season that we've been in, invites us into an inner dialogue that encourages us to be relentlessly authentic and even youthful or bold with our actions. So no more procrastinating. Aries can be immature, headstrong, and often needs to be tempered by the quest for balance highlighted by Libra. It's a good combo. Again, we're asking ourselves about how can we be honest about who we are, what do we need, and diplomatic about how we get our needs met. No usurping, no taking, no seizing. We want diplomacy, please. We are exploring our needs and wants in any place where we perceive ourselves as lacking and learning how to get these needs met in a sustainable, peaceful way. When we get our first eclipse on the Pisces-Virgo axis for the year, we're exploring improvement versus discontent, focusing on what is working instead of what isn't, and looking at which patterns need to be disrupted and reordered in order for us to create something new and better. So just take a quick screenshot of this, just a quick reminder. Solar eclipses are amplifiers, so it's like a new moon times 10, and lunar eclipses are like full moon times 10. It's a call for closure and release of what needs to be let go. So in our new moon, whenever we work with the new moon, especially on a solar eclipse, we're always asking ourselves, what knowledge and wisdom do we need to cultivate in order to deeper a connection to our higher purpose? And full moons are always asking us, what do we need to realign to position ourselves in order to break free from limiting patterns and change the story of what we believe is possible? As we come to the conclusion of the overview of the planets for the year, I want to remind you that you can never change things by fighting the existing reality. You do not need to convince people. You do not need to fight to try to get people to see things your way. Just simply change something by building a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. That's our job. And do it with faith, not fear. Do it with courage and boldness. Set the stage, do the work, do the thing. Don't hold back. Trust the process. Stay aligned with your authentic self, and keep your eye on the prize, right? Keep looking at the horizon and where we're headed, and don't lose your attitude so you don't lose altitude. So some things to remember: we're in a long cycle of incredible transformation and evolution. Everything is subject to change. The old ways are dying and making room for the new. Our prime directive this year is be yourself and make choices that allow you to step into a bigger expression of who you are, zero compromise. New values, new economy, sustainable resources, and peace. We're exploring, we're experimenting, we're trying to figure out how do we move through this threshold and create something better. Don't take anything at face value. Stretch yourself and truly define yourself the way you know you are in your soul. Trust your gut. It's a pivotal year. You influence what you experience when you stay connected to your authentic self. Don't push with willpower. Listen to your body. The planets are teaching you to use your mind to stimulate your emotions, and from that alignment to create powerfully. Use your mind for your expansion, not contraction. You deserve more, not less. Trust yourself and what feels true. Be patient and gentle and not judgmental of yourself. Be clear. Keep clearing old traumas. Have faith. Remember that this is hard, but this is important. 2 steps forward and 1 step back is still 1 step forward. Do the math. You'll experience more joy when you surrender. And if you are looking for some more tools to support you in this essential, momentous cycle, you want to get prepared. I want to, again, just share with you, we printed 2,000 copies of the 2025 Evolution Guide. So there's a limited number of these copies available, these hard copies available. There's also a digital version of the 2025 Evolution Guide available. This Evolution Guide Has all kinds of contemplations, journaling exercises in here. It's got information about the lunar cycles, the eclipses, Mercury retrograde. It's got an overview of all the planetary cycles like I led you through today. It goes through the sun and the earth. It's got EFT, the emotional freedom setups in here. It's also got a really beautiful way to look at your chart and go deep into your chart and do a sort of your own personal chart analysis. As I said, we still have some hard copies left. So get a copy of your hard copy of the 2025 guide. If you're wanting to get a hard copy, we also have digital copies available. Everything we talked about today is in the 2025 Evolution Guide, plus a lot more. I also, if you have purchased your 2025 Evolution Guide and you want to win some prizes, I want to invite you to join our 2025 Evolution Guide Street Team. So if you have a copy of the 2025 guide, take a picture of the book or yourself with the book, post it on your Instagram or your Facebook page. Make sure you tag me at Karen Curry Parker. Email me the link to the post to confirm your entry. Your name will be entered into a random drawing for a giveaway. And we are giving away Quantum Human Design levels 1-2 training. So we'll have one person who will be receiving Quantum Human Design's level 1 and 2 training. That's like, I think that's like a $1,200, $1,400 value. We're giving away 10 Army and Love t-shirts. So we have a Army of Love t-shirts. Those are awesome. Everybody loves those. We're also giving away 10 healing sound frequencies. These are sound frequencies that actually will calibrate all of the 9 centers and all of the 9 resiliency keys. So you'll have the opportunity to enjoy receiving, if you are one of the recipients, enjoy receiving free access to these healing sound frequencies, including 10 minutes of human design sound frequency, healing sound frequency, house music. So you can dance your way to wellness every morning. So we'll put the link to joining the street team where you can get more information about joining the street team in the chat. If you want some support and you want to do something really fun, very powerful, and scientifically grounded to start transforming your story so you can step into that more authentic alignment of who you are, I want to share with you that I'm leading a guided experience to help you rewrite your personal narrative and manifest with clarity and confidence to get the year started off right. So this is a program called the Story Lab. When you're stuck in your story, if you've been stuck in your story, you're struggling with reoccurring patterns. You're probably procrastinating. We talked about that today. You might be feeling disconnected from your potential or overwhelmed by fear. And you might feel like visualizing or affirming is falling flat and you don't really have a deep connection to what you're trying to create. When you rewrite your story, when you literally rewrite your story, and I'm going to walk you through in this program exactly how you're going to get back control over your personal story and write it the way you choose it, then your personal story is going to help you unlock your innate creativity. I'm going to teach you how to write a story that aligns your thoughts, feelings, and actions with this new powerful narrative. I'm going to teach you how to discover the magic of collective and personal transformation. And so when you rewrite the story, you can become that leader that you want to be. I'm going to show you a proven method. And this is actually a method that I did scientific research on for my PhD. When you use this method, it actually improves your immune response on top of giving you deeper states of self-empowerment, creativity, and it helps you manifest things much faster. So this is a transformational journey that I'm going to lead you on that's rooted in quantum human design. It combines neuroscience, creativity, and storytelling tools. It includes live teaching transmissions and an interactive event for maximum impact. In the Story Lab program, you're going to get 3 pre-recorded lessons that you'll have access to immediately. So if you buy it today and you register today, you'll get access to the materials immediately. This is going to give you creative exercises that are going to help jumpstart your transformation. And then once you do these 3 homework assignments, these pre-homework, on January the 25th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., we have a live virtual event on Zoom where I'm going to lead you through the actual Story Lab process. This is the actual process I did in my research that gave people a way to use intentional storytelling to help them reframe their narrative and reclaim their personal power back from whatever may have happened to you before. So this is a dynamic collective experience that helps you deepen your story work and use intentional storytelling as a powerful tool. We'll have interactive exercises, real-time guidance, and group energy. This program is normally $297. It's the new year. It's a big year. I want you to have access to this information. So if you register by January the 21st, that's the last day of this old year, I'm going to give you a $200 discount so that you can register for $97. Okay, so if you register by January the 21st, you're going to get the homework. You can get started on the homework. You're going to get access to the 4-hour live intensive. I'm going to teach you this intentional storytelling process that you can then apply to many, many, many areas of your life. And you'll save $200 and be able to get started in crafting an authentic narrative to get you through this year in the most powerful, impactful way possible. So you start creating the life you really deserve to live. And most importantly, so you start taking your place in leadership during this very, very important time on the planet. So you're going to discover new layers of your story as you grow. You're going to learn how to address current challenges with fresh insights. You're going to experience the unique energy of a new group of people. You're going to get to meet other people like you. It's really fun. And of course, even if you've done this before, if you've taken a story lab before, come back and revisit the tools, meet new people. It's a really, really powerful collective experience. So the time to rewrite your story is absolutely now, right? The world is changing and our stories have to change. Hope, resilience, and alignment are the key to overcoming fear and not getting stuck. And the story you tell about who you are and how you are, when you sync that story up to the highest version of yourself, it doesn't just impact your life, it impacts the world around you. So rewrite your narrative, manifest with ease, transform your life. Join us for the live Story Lab experience in 2025. Save $200. Be there so you can get this work done, so you can really start this year off deeply aligned with the person you were born to be. Okay, that's it. That's what I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed this program today. I hope you learned a lot. I hope you've got some really good insights into what's ahead for this year. You will receive a copy of the replay so that you can review this information. As I said again, everything I talked about today is in the 2025 guide. So give yourself that gift so you can stay on top of the energy for the year. It's my honor to be here with you all. I also just want to say thank you to Hannah for being here and answering all your chats. Thank you to Jamila for being here and answering all your chats. Please feel free to reach out to us at any point in time if you have any questions at all about quantum human design or any of our trainings. Reach out to Jamila and Hannah, book a discovery call with them. They can post the link in the chat as well. Hannah just posted that in the chat. Take good care of yourselves. Have a really, 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 really amazing new year. And thank you all. Be well.